When you beat your olive trees, do not go over the branches a second time. Leave what remains to the foreigner, the fatherless, and the widow. What God is saying through this passage here is that actually your job is not to maximize things for you. The goal is not to maximize profits, but to actually be inefficient for the sake of those who are suffering. And in particular, he has in mind the foreigner who has no relatives or people who might care about them in Israel. The person who is fatherless or a widow, the person who might have had someone who cared about them because of personal tragedy, they are now in a place of destitution. And there's a reason he gives them to do this. Why might the people who are now in the promised land have compassion for people who are from radically different circumstances than them? He says, remember that you were slaves in Egypt. In other words, Israel's past experience of oppression was supposed to create a sense of empathy that influenced how they saw the rest of the suffering peoples of the world. Every single person who ever becomes a child of God found themselves without the resources they needed to save themselves. None of us can save ourselves. And God looked at us as helpless and in need, and he came and rescued us. And when we reflect upon God's rescue of us, it ought to create in us a certain set of empathy towards the people who are also in need of rescue, both materially and spiritually. And so what people are supposed to see when they see the suffering is not these are people who deserve it, or these are people who are not a part of my family, so I'm not responsible for them. But these are people who are in need of the same grace that I have received. The scriptural story of God's liberating activity leading to empathy is the heritage of the Christian. And so when we see those who are suffering, like the ancient Israelites, we reflect God's own compassion when we care for them in ways that might not be inefficient for us, but are beneficial to them.